Ethan Carter wiped the sweat from his forehead, looking up at the clear sky above Orion 9. It was another hot afternoon at the remote outpost where he worked as a mechanic, far from bustling cities and crowded space stations. Here, life was quiet and lonely, just the way Ethan preferred. He fixed machines, tended to broken ships, and kept mostly to himself. Today felt ordinary, just like every other day. Ethan had spent the morning repairing an old transport shuttle. The vessel was rusted and had clearly seen better days, but Ethan enjoyed bringing broken things back to life. He was good at his job and found a simple joy in seeing engines roar. Back to life. As Ethan finished his work and began cleaning his tools, a strange sound caught his attention. It wasn't the typical noise of ships landing or taking off, nor the usual chatter of distant traders passing by. Curious, Ethan put down his wrench and listened carefully. The noise seemed to be coming from the small forest just beyond his workshop. Deciding to investigate, Ethan walked cautiously toward the trees. It wasn't often that anything unusual happened here. Orion 9 was peaceful, almost forgotten by the wider galaxy. He moved quietly, brushing aside branches and stepping carefully over thick roots. As he ventured deeper, the noise became clearer. It sounded like someone or something in pain. Moments later, Ethan spotted her. Lying on the ground was a girl, an alien unlike any Ethan had encountered before. Her skin had a gentle silvery glow, marked with strange symbols he couldn't recognize. Her clothing was torn, and Ethan saw that her arm was bleeding heavily. She was breathing, but it was weak and uneven. For a moment, Ethan hesitated. Helping strangers could mean trouble, especially out here, where no one asked questions or wanted problems. But the girl's condition was serious, and Ethan couldn't simply walk away. He knelt beside her and gently checked her injuries. She stirred slightly, groaning softly at his touch. "Easy," Ethan said quietly. "You're hurt badly. I'll help you." Carefully, Ethan lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected and seemed fragile despite the strength implied by the scars and marks across her body. Ethan carried her back to his workshop, where he had basic medical supplies. He cleared off a workbench, laying her down gently. Working quickly, Ethan cleaned the wounds and applied bandages. The alien girl remained unconscious, her breathing slowly stabilizing as Ethan tended to her carefully. He watched her closely, wondering who she was and how she'd ended up injured in such a remote place. After ensuring her wounds were properly treated, Ethan covered her with a blanket and stepped back, pondering his next move. He had no idea who this mysterious girl might be, nor where she came from. There were always travelers who crashed or got stranded, but she seemed different somehow. Her presence felt important, though Ethan couldn't explain why. He decided to check her belongings, hoping to find some clue about her identity. Among her possessions, he found a small pouch filled with unusual artifacts and tokens that shimmered softly in the dim light of his workshop. There was also a tiny electronic device, unfamiliar to Ethan. He examined it closely, but couldn't activate it. Returning to her side, Ethan sat quietly, waiting for her to wake. Hours passed slowly. Ethan busied himself by tidying up and preparing food, occasionally checking on the girl. She remained peaceful, her breathing steady as evening approached and shadows lengthened outside. Ethan finally saw her stir. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing brilliant emerald irises that seemed to glow softly in the fading light. For a brief moment, confusion filled her gaze, quickly replaced by cautious curiosity. "You're safe," Ethan reassured her gently. "You're at my workshop. I found you injured in the forest." She watched him silently, as though assessing his words. Then slowly she nodded. Her eyes softened, a hint of gratitude breaking through her cautious expression. "My name is Ethan," he offered gently. "What's yours?" Her voice was soft, melodic, yet strained by exhaustion. "Kayla," she replied faintly. "Well, Kayla, you can rest here until you're strong enough," Ethan said warmly, offering her a reassuring smile. Kayla nodded again, her eyes heavy with fatigue. Ethan watched her drift back to sleep, her breathing calmer now. Despite his earlier doubts, Ethan knew he'd made the right choice. Yet a feeling lingered. Kayla was no ordinary visitor. As darkness settled completely around Orion 9, Ethan wondered quietly what secrets this mysterious girl held. Unaware, he was sheltering not just a traveler, but a legendary figure, whose very presence would soon turn his simple life upside down. Kayla woke slowly, blinking as the morning sunlight spilled gently through the small windows of Ethan's workshop. She felt better, though still weak. Her arm was tightly bandaged, and she could sense her strength slowly returning. Carefully, she sat up, taking in her surroundings with a clearer mind than before. The workshop was simple yet organized. Tools lined the walls neatly, and pieces of machinery lay scattered in various stages of repair. Ethan himself was busy working at a bench, his attention completely absorbed in a delicate mechanism. He looked up as he heard Kayla stir. "Good morning," he greeted warmly, putting aside his tools. "How do you feel today?" "Better, thanks to you," Kayla replied softly. Offering a grateful smile, Ethan approached, handing her a glass of water. "Here, drink this. It'll help." Kayla took the water, sipping slowly. "Thank you, Ethan. Can you tell me what happened? How did you end up out here?" Ethan asked gently, sitting across from her. Kayla hesitated briefly, considering how much to share. "I was attacked by bounty hunters," she began quietly, her eyes serious. "They've been chasing me for some time. My ship was damaged, and I crashed." "Nearby," Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "Bounty hunters? Are you in trouble?" Kayla paused, looking away. "Yes, but it's complicated. I'd understand if you'd rather not get involved." Ethan smiled reassuringly. "You're already here. I'd say I'm involved." Before Kayla could answer, a loud knock echoed through the workshop. Door. Ethan stood, signaling Kayla to remain quiet. He walked cautiously toward the door, opening it slightly. A rough-looking trader stood outside, glancing nervously behind him. "Hey, Ethan, have you seen anyone strange lately? An alien woman, injured perhaps?" Ethan hesitated only a moment. "Can't say I have. Why do you ask?" "Word is there's someone dangerous around here," the trader whispered urgently. "Someone the bounty hunters are eager to find. Big reward, too. Be careful." "Thanks," Ethan replied calmly, keeping his expression neutral. "I'll watch out." Closing the door, Ethan returned quickly to Kayla. "Looks like your friends are close by. You're safe here, but we need to be careful." Kayla nodded slowly. "I'm sorry to bring trouble to your peaceful home." "Don't worry about it," Ethan reassured her with a comforting smile. "Everyone deserves help sometimes." Kayla smiled faintly, gratitude clear in her eyes. She felt a strange sense of trust toward this quiet mechanic, someone who asked little yet offered much. Ethan handed her a bowl of warm soup he prepared. "Eat something? You need strength." Kayla began to eat slowly, savoring the warmth. As she ate, Ethan returned to his work, quietly fixing broken parts and humming softly. Kayla watched him, sensing the depth of kindness beneath his simple exterior. Later, feeling stronger, Kayla stood up, carefully stretching her limbs. Her injury still hurt, but she could move freely now. Ethan glanced up, surprised at her quick recovery. "You're tougher than you look," Ethan remarked, impressed. Kayla smiled softly. "I've learned to heal quickly. Survival demands it." Ethan nodded, understanding the hidden story behind her words. "I noticed some of your belongings, those strange artifacts. Do they mean anything special?" Kayla paused, considering her answer carefully. "They're symbols of my past, reminders of battles fought and allies lost. They hold great meaning among my people." "Your people?" Ethan echoed curiously. "Are you someone important?" Kayla laughed softly, sadness flickering in her eyes. "I was once. Now, I am mostly running from the memory of who I used to be. Maybe running isn't the answer," Ethan offered gently. "Perhaps facing whatever it is would help you find peace." Kayla considered his words seriously. Ethan had no idea who she really was, yet his simple advice resonated deeply. He had a wisdom born from a quiet life spent reflecting, away from noise. And confusion as the day passed peacefully, Kayla grew stronger. Ethan continued to work quietly, occasionally checking on her. Evening came again, and they shared a simple meal together. Kayla felt a growing sense of comfort and safety in Ethan's calm presence, but she knew the peace was temporary. Soon, hunters will come searching again, drawn by greed and fear. Kayla looked at Ethan, feeling protective and worried for him. "I should leave soon," she whispered softly. "I don't want to put you in more danger." Ethan met her gaze calmly, his voice steady. "You're not alone, Kayla. If danger comes, we'll face it together." Kayla felt a warmth in her heart at his words. She nodded, silently accepting his offer of friendship and loyalty, even as she feared the storm that was surely coming their way. The next morning, Ethan woke up early, his mind filled with questions about Kayla. He had spent the night in his small sleeping area, leaving her the comfortable workshop bench. As he stepped into the main room, he found Kayla already awake, staring thoughtfully out the window. "Good morning," Ethan said gently. "How are you feeling?" Kayla turned to him, her emerald eyes bright yet guarded. "Better, thank you." Ethan started preparing breakfast, working quietly. The silence stretched between them, each lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Ethan spoke again. "Kayla, I hope you don't mind me asking, but why were you out here all alone? Orion 9 is not exactly a busy place." She hesitated, then sighed softly. "I was being pursued. There are those who seek to capture me. My ship was damaged in the chase, forcing me to crash land here." "Who would want to harm you?" Ethan asked, concern evident in his voice. "People who see me as a threat," Kayla replied quietly. "I've been accused of things I did not do. Now many want me captured or worse." Ethan felt a wave of sympathy for her. He could sense the sincerity in her words. Before he could respond, loud banging echoed through the workshop again, startling them both. "Hide," Ethan whispered urgently, motioning toward a storage room. Kayla quickly slipped inside, shutting the door softly behind her. Ethan opened the workshop door, revealing two rough-looking figures. One, tall and menacing, had an electronic eye scanning Ethan's face. The other was shorter but no less dangerous looking, his eyes darting suspiciously around the room. "We're looking for an alien woman," the taller one growled. "She's dangerous." "Seen anyone unusual?" Ethan shook his head calmly. "No one comes here but traders and travelers. No alien women." The shorter bounty hunter stepped closer, his gaze narrow. "If you're lying, it won't end well for you. There's a big reward on her head." Ethan maintained eye contact, steady and firm. "I have nothing to hide." "Search the place if you want." The men hesitated briefly, glancing at each other. Ethan's calmness unsettled them. "We'll be back," the taller hunter said finally, clearly annoyed. Ethan watched them leave, his heart pounding. He locked the door securely behind them before letting Kayla out from her hiding place. "Thank you," Kayla whispered softly, her eyes filled with gratitude. "We should leave soon," Ethan suggested gently. "They'll return and we need to." "Stay ahead," Kayla nodded slowly, considering. "Yes, but where can we go?" Ethan thought carefully. "There's an old outpost a few hours away. It's abandoned, but safe. We can hide there for a while." Quickly gathering supplies, Ethan and Kayla prepared for the journey. Ethan packed food, water, and medical supplies, along with tools he might need. Kayla watched him silently, a mix of worry and appreciation evident in her expression. Soon, they were walking through the forest, keeping hidden among the trees. Kayla moved gracefully despite her injuries, and Ethan noted her resilience. She seemed accustomed to hardship, revealing little discomfort as they traveled. As they walked, Ethan asked cautiously, "Kayla, why exactly are they after you?" Kayla hesitated briefly, then answered softly, I was once a fighter or protector of my people. But enemies framed me as a traitor. They spread lies, turning my allies against me. Now, I'm hunted. Ethan felt anger and sadness for her plight. Why don't your friends help you? She shook her head gently, pain evident in her voice. Most believe the lies. Few know the truth. They walked silently for some time afterward, the sounds of the forest surrounding them. Ethan considered her words carefully. He knew little of the wider galaxy's politics, but he could recognize injustice easily. Eventually, they reached the old outpost. It was worn down but sturdy enough for shelter. Ethan quickly set up a safe space inside, ensuring it was secure and comfortable. Night fell as they settled in, sharing a simple meal. Kayla spoke softly, revealing more about her past battles, her voice filled with quiet strength. Ethan listened carefully, amazed by her courage and resilience. You're brave, Ethan said gently after a moment. I can't believe people would think you were anything but honorable. Kayla smiled sadly. Fear makes people believe terrible things. They find comfort in lies. Ethan nodded thoughtfully, seeing truth in her words. Well, you're safe with me, he assured her quietly. Kayla's eyes softened with gratitude and trust. I'm thankful I met you, Ethan. You remind me there's still kindness in the galaxy. Ethan smiled warmly. We'll face whatever comes together, he promised confidently, down in the quiet darkness of the abandoned outpost. A bond of trust and friendship grew between them, preparing them for challenges still to come. The abandoned outpost became a temporary home for Ethan and Kayla. Though old and weathered, it was sturdy enough to offer them protection. Over the next few days, Ethan reinforced the building, fixing broken doors and windows, while Kayla slowly recovered from her injuries. During their quiet hours together, Ethan learned more about Kayla. She spoke softly of distant worlds, fierce battles, and trusted allies who had been lost. Each story painted a picture of courage and sorrow, showing Ethan the difficult path she had walked. Despite her strength, Ethan noticed moments when sadness filled her eyes, shadows from painful memories. One morning, as the sun rose gently over the forest, Ethan decided to teach Kayla basic mechanical skills. He showed her simple repairs, explaining patiently as she listened closely. Her sharp mind quickly grasped the tasks, and Ethan found her an eager student. You're good at this, Ethan remarked encouragingly, watching her tighten a bolt. On a small engine part, Kayla smiled shyly. I had good teachers in my past, but never for mechanical things. It feels peaceful to work with my hands. As they worked, Ethan's communicator beeped urgently. Surprised, he activated it, and a familiar voice crackled through. Ethan, it's Sam. Be careful. More bounty hunters are landing at Orion 9. They seem determined. You should hide. Thanks for the warning, Sam, Ethan replied quickly. He glanced anxiously at Kayla, whose expression had grown serious. We need to prepare, Kayla said quietly. They will find us eventually. We can't keep hiding forever. Ethan nodded in agreement. But we must choose our battles carefully. Let's set up some basic defenses around here. Together, they spent the afternoon fortifying their shelter. Ethan set traps around the perimeter, simple but effective alarms that would warn them of intruders. Kayla fashioned a few primitive but sturdy weapons, her experienced hands working quickly. When night fell, they sat quietly inside, listening to the distant sounds of the forest. The atmosphere was tense, and Ethan saw determination in Kayla's eyes. You miss your home, don't you? Ethan asked gently. Kayla hesitated, then nodded. I do, but my home is no longer safe. Nowhere is safe until I clear my name. Ethan reached out, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. We'll find a way to fix this. You're not alone. She smiled softly, gratitude shining in her emerald eyes. Your kindness gives me strength, Ethan. You've given me hope again. They sat in silence, comforted by each other's presence. But their peace was soon shattered by a loud crack in the distance. One of Ethan's alarms had gone off. Quickly, they moved to defensive positions, hidden but alert. Minutes later, Several bounty hunters appeared near the outpost, cautious and well-armed. Ethan counted 4, each scanning carefully for traps. Kayla signaled Ethan silently. Together, they activated additional traps. Loud bangs and bright flashes disoriented the hunters, causing them to scatter briefly. Ethan and Kayla took advantage of the chaos, swiftly disabling 2 attackers with precise strikes. One of the remaining hunters shouted angrily, calling out threats. "You can't hide forever, Kayla. We'll find you." Kayla responded confidently. From the shadows, "Leave now, and no one else will get hurt. I seek no quarrel with you." The bounty hunter sneered, firing randomly into the darkness. Ethan narrowly dodged the blast, heart racing. He quickly adjusted their tactics, signaling Kayla to flank from behind. Kayla moved silently, appearing suddenly behind the hunter, swiftly disarming him. Ethan took down the final hunter just as efficiently. Soon, the attackers were all tied securely, unable to cause further harm. Panting, Ethan looked at Kayla with admiration. "You truly are remarkable." Kayla shook her head modestly. "Only train, but we must leave here soon. More will come." Ethan nodded seriously. "We need a better plan. Where can we find help?" Kayla thought for a moment. "There's a small rebel faction, people who might still trust me. They have hidden bases nearby. If we reach them, they could help." "Then that's our next move," Ethan said firmly. They quickly gathered their belongings, setting out under the cover of darkness. Ethan's heart was heavy, but determined. Kayla had become more than just someone he helped. She was now a friend worth fighting for. Traveling swiftly through the night, they remained alert. Kayla led confidently, moving with graceful certainty. Ethan trusted her instincts completely. Knowing she carried wisdom and experience dot by dawn, they reached the edge of rebel territory. Kayla paused briefly, taking a deep breath. Ethan noticed her hesitation and gently squeezed her hand in encouragement. "Whatever happens next," Ethan assured her softly, "we'll face it together." Kayla met his eyes, her determination renewed. Together, they stepped forward, prepared to meet allies who could help them confront the dangers ahead. Ethan and Kayla stood at the edge of the rebel camp, hidden behind thick trees. They watched carefully as figures moved between tents and small structures. The camp was busy, yet quiet. Guards patrolled the perimeter with alert eyes. "Are you sure they will accept us?" Ethan asked softly. Kayla nodded. "I hope so. I used to fight beside them. If any still remember me, they might help." They stepped forward slowly, hands raised to show they meant no harm. It didn't take long before 2 guards spotted them and rushed over, weapons ready. "Stop right there," one guard said firmly. "Who are you?" Kayla stepped ahead. "My name is Kayla. I seek to speak with your leader." The guards looked at each other, confused. Then one of them spoke into a communicator. Moments later, a tall woman with short black hair arrived. Her face showed no emotion at first, but her eyes widened when she saw Kayla. "Kayla, is it really you?" the woman asked. "Yes, Tara. It's me," Kayla answered. The woman named Tara lowered her weapon. "We thought you were dead." Many believed the stories. Some were lies, Kayla replied quietly. "I need help, and I need people to hear the truth." Tara studied her for a moment before nodding. "Come with me." They entered the camp and were taken to a small meeting hall. Inside, Kayla explained everything. She spoke of the betrayal, the false accusations, and the bounty placed on her head. Tara listened carefully, not interrupting. When Kayla finished, Tara finally spoke. "Some of us doubted the official story. You were always brave and honest, but many others still think you turned against us." "Then let me prove myself," Kayla said. "Let me help again. Let me fight for the truth." Tara nodded. "Slowly, we could use help. There's a mission coming up. If you and your friend can handle it, maybe people will believe again." Ethan looked at Kayla and nodded. "We're ready." The next day, Tara gave them a task. A rebel supply ship had been captured by mercenaries working for one of Kella's enemies. The rebels needed that ship back. Ethan worked on planning their approach. He suggested using stealth, disabling the guards quietly instead of fighting head-on. Kayla agreed. As night fell, Ethan and Kayla approached the landing site where the stolen ship was being held. The area was guarded by 6 mercenaries. Using the shadows, they moved quietly. Kayla took the lead, her movements quick and silent. Ethan followed, setting small traps and distractions. One by one, they took down the guards without raising alarms. Soon, the ship was theirs. Ethan entered the control room and began working on the systems. "I can get it flying in a few minutes," he said. Kaela watched the perimeter, making sure no one returned. When the engines roared to life, Ethan smiled. "We did it," he said. Kayla nodded. "Let's bring it home." They flew the ship back to the rebel camp, where Tara and the others were waiting. Cheers rose as the ship landed safely. Tara met them as they stepped out. "You've done well." "People are talking. Maybe now they'll start to believe you again." Kayla smiled. "Thank you for giving me a chance." Over the next few days, Kayla helped train new rebel fighters. Ethan repaired weapons and equipment, becoming a valuable part of the camp. Slowly, Kayla's name began to be spoken with respect again. Evening, as the stars lit up the sky, Ethan and Kayla sat beside a small fire. "Do you think they'll ever fully trust you again?" Ethan asked. Kayla looked up at the stars. "Maybe not all of them. But I'm not doing this just to clear my name. I want to stop the people spreading lies. I want to protect those who can't. Fight for themselves." Ethan nodded. "And I'll be right here with you." Kayla smiled softly. "I never expected to find a friend like you. You helped me more than you know." They sat in silence, watching the flames dance. Around them, the camp buzzed with quiet energy. Hope had returned, and with it, the will to fight for justice. Though the road ahead would be dangerous, Ethan and Kayla knew they would face it together. And for the first time in a long while, Kayla felt like a warrior, again, not one running from her past, but one ready to fight for a better future. A few days later, the rebel camp received urgent news. One of their hidden bases had been attacked. Many were injured, and others had been taken by a powerful group loyal to those who still hunted Kayla. The rebels needed to act quickly, but they lacked a clear plan. Tara gathered the leaders and called Kayla and Ethan to the command tent. A large map was spread across the table. "They've taken the base near the mountain pass," Tara said, pointing to the location. "We lost contact with the team there. The enemy is strong and well armed." Kayla studied the map. "If we move through the canyon and strike from behind, we can catch them off guard. They'll expect a direct attack." Ethan added, "I can build small EMP grenades to disable their systems." "It will help us avoid a long fight." Tara nodded. "You'll lead the mission. Take a small team and rescue the captured fighters. If we win this battle, more people will believe in Kayla again." Later that night, Kayla, Ethan, and 5 rebels left the camp. They moved quickly and quietly, taking hidden paths through the forest. Kayla led with confidence, her sharp eyes watching every shadow. Ethan followed closely, carrying a small pack filled with devices he had built. As they reached the canyon, they hid behind the rocks and waited for Kayla's signal. She studied the enemy camp. Guards walked the perimeter. Spotlights moved slowly, scanning the dark. Kayla whispered, "We strike in 2 groups. I'll take the east side with Liam and Zoe. Ethan, you take the west with Nora and Jace. When the lights go out, we move." Ethan nodded and passed out the EMP grenades. Pull the pin, throw, and wait for the blink. That's when their tech shuts down. Kayla gave the signal. The teams moved quietly to their positions. Ethan threw his EMP first. A soft flash lit the air, and the lights in the camp flickered, then died. Kayla and her team moved in quickly. They took out the first guards with silent moves. Ethan's side did the same. Within minutes, the outer defenses were down. Alarms started to ring, but the rebels were already inside. A fast fight broke out. Kayla moved like lightning, dodging blasts and taking down enemies with skill. Ethan stayed behind cover, using his tools to jam signals and guide his team. They found the captured rebels locked in a small building. Kayla broke the lock with a single hit, and the prisoners rushed out, grabbing weapons from fallen enemies. Together, the group pushed back the attackers. Seeing Kayla lead gave the others strength. Her presence inspired them, reminding them of old victories. As the last enemy fled into the night, the rebels cheered. The base was theirs again. Kayla looked around, breathing heavily. Her eyes met Ethan's, and they shared a tired smile. "We did it," Ethan said. "No," Kayla replied softly. "They did it. They believed. That made the difference." Back at the main camp, the returning team was welcomed as heroes. Kayla's name spread quickly. More rebels came to see her, asking for her stories, her advice, and her leadership. The camp felt alive with hope. Later that night, Tara spoke privately with Kayla and Ethan. "You've done more than just win a battle," Tara said. "You've given people something to believe in again." Kayla smiled but looked thoughtful. "There's still more to do. The ones behind all this are still out there. They'll come again." Tara agreed. "Yes, but this time, we won't face them alone." Ethan added, "We should start preparing now. We can train more people, build stronger defenses." Kayla nodded. "We fight not just for survival now, but for truth, for justice." In the days that followed, the camp turned into a center of resistance. Kayla trained fighters every morning. Ethan worked late into the night, building tools and repairing weapons. More rebels joined, inspired by the stories of Kayla's courage. One evening, as Kayla walked through the camp, a young fighter stopped her. "They said you were a legend," the young woman said. "I didn't believe it until now. Thank you for fighting for us." Kayla paused, then smiled. "I'm no legend. I'm just someone who refuses to give up." That night, as stars filled the sky above the quiet camp, Kayla and Ethan sat together once more. "Do you think we're ready for what comes next?" Ethan asked. Kayla looked toward the distant mountains, where the real enemy still waited. "We're getting closer," she said. "And this time I won't run." Together, they stared into the darkness, ready to face the final challenge that would decide not just Kayla's fate, but the future of many. The days passed quickly, and the rebel camp grew stronger. Kayla's presence had changed everything. Fighters trained harder. Engineers worked faster. And more people came, bringing stories, weapons, and hope. One morning, Tara called a meeting. She had important news. "We found their main base," she said, pointing to a map. "It's hidden in the cliffs beyond the eastern valley. This is where they command from. If we strike now, we can end this." Kayla studied the map closely. "They will expect us." "They'll be ready." "Yes," Tara said. "But we have something they don't." "You," Ethan stepped forward. "We also have new tech. I've made a jammer that can block their shields for a short time. If we time it right, we'll have a small window to attack." Kayla nodded. "Then we must move soon. We can't give them time to prepare more." The next day, the rebels set out. It was the largest force they had ever gathered. Kayla rode at the front, her eyes focused and calm. Ethan rode beside her, carrying the jammer carefully in his pack. The journey was hard. They climbed rocky paths and crossed narrow bridges. But no one complained. They believed in Kayla. They believed in the mission. By nightfall, they reached the edge of the enemy base. Hidden behind rocks, they looked down at the stronghold built into the cliffs. Guards walked the walls. Lights scanned the dark. Kayla gave the order, "We wait until dawn. Then we strike." As the first light touched the sky, Ethan activated the jammer. A soft hum filled the air. "Now!" Kayla shouted. The rebels moved quickly, catching the enemy by surprise. Without their shield, the stronghold was open. Kayla led the charge, moving like a storm through the gates. Ethan stayed behind her, using his tools to block alarms and open locked doors. The battle was fierce. The enemy had more fighters, but the rebels had something stronger: unity and purpose. Kayla fought like the warrior she had once been, and the others followed her with courage. Inside the main building, Kayla found the leader of the enemy forces. It was a tall man with cold eyes. He had once been one of the generals who turned against her. "You should have stayed gone," he said, aiming his weapon at her. Kayla didn't flinch. "You lied about me. You turned my people against me. Today, that ends." They fought, weapon to weapon, strength against strength. Kayla was fast and focused. In the end, she disarmed him and stood over him. "You're finished," she said. He sneered. "Even if you win here, others will still hunt you." Kayla looked down at him calmly. "Then let them come. I'm not afraid anymore." She tied his hands and signaled for Ethan. Together, they walked out of the building as the rebels cheered. The battle was over. The base was theirs. Back at the camp, the celebration was quiet but full of joy. People hugged. Some cried. Others simply sat and smiled. Kayla stood before the rebels that evening. She looked around at the many faces watching. Her, "You fought with bravery and honor. Today we took back what was stolen. Not just the base, but the truth." The crowd clapped and cheered. Tara stepped forward. "Kayla, the galaxy will hear about this. Your name will no longer be tied to lies. You are a hero again." Kayla shook her head. "I don't want to be a hero. I just want to protect what's right. And I want to thank someone who stood by me when I had nothing." She turned to Ethan. "You saved me when I was a stranger. You gave me hope when I had lost it." Ethan smiled. "I just did what I thought was right." Kayla stepped closer. "You did. More than that, you believed in me." They stood in silence for a moment. Around them, the stars shone bright in the sky. Days later, messages began arriving from other rebel groups. They had heard about Kella's victory. Many offered support. Some even asked her to lead a new council. Kayla thanked them but chose to stay with her people. She continued to train new fighters and help rebuild the broken parts of the galaxy. Ethan remained by her side, fixing ships, building tools, and offering quiet strength. Together, they traveled to small colonies, helping those in need. Kella's name spread, not as a warrior, but as a guardian, a symbol of hope. One evening, as they sat by a fire on a quiet hill, Ethan asked, "You miss your old life?" Kayla looked at the stars. "Sometimes, but I've found something better. A new purpose, and a true friend." Ethan smiled. "I'm glad you're still here." Kayla nodded. "Me too." And as the stars watched over them, they knew their journey wasn't over. But whatever came next, they would face it together.